Abu Nator Shil Yachad Nuwabakedi Waloi Ma'orwo, the pledge of the United Nuwabian Nation of Moors. Ama Kakdemu Sefunut Hade Gedash Manuf, as I stand beneath our sacred and holy flag. Kanderu Ruki Maul Te Kehikano, Ama Kashgeru Zitaur, I vow to be loyal, obedient as I watch it fly. Ru Ganunwu Shil Manut Naonut, Faref Nawus Weloinut, to the laws of our Constitution that govern our nation. Ru Hare Sabu Kahmelu Tupusumhem, to this cause I hold my head up high. Akara Garur Kantero Ruharus Hade Tahum, with pride I pledge to protect and defend. Kalu Akara Hare Walao Weloi, Kalu Hanuf Hade Samur, all within this great nation, both family and friend. Ru Yankud Faref Karetkut Mu Adorhut Hagoyu, to ensure all has their equal rights. Ruhare Sabul Kazur Gedu Atnachum, to this cause I will lay down my very life. Ama Kapdemu Tachuth Haresan Un Hade Gedash Danun, as I stand beneath this sacred and holy seal. Kanderu Nafusum Mewa Chelas Hade Kazutmenu Tiat Mewikanu Akara Khera, I vow myself loyal, sincere, and vow integrity with zeal.
So sitting next to you, or sitting behind you, or front, so sitting next to you, you might be sitting next to Black Devil.
It states in Psalms chapter 82, verse 6, I have said ye are gods, and all of you are children of the Most High.
It is Rit Nalej Radio with your host, Mahuta Hedokayu. And today is the month of Nebthet in the year 82. Now, I don't know this by heart. I'm not going to lie. So we need to get the exact day and week. And computer's running slow. Okay. So, like I said, year 82, the month of Nebthet, and it is the second week, third day, the day of Nunamnir. Of course, that was Nudimud's brother, right? And they were both the son of Anu. So, the white man's day is, we're going to talk about the word white, too, that I found out something that's pretty interesting, man. Pretty interesting. I found out about the word white. So, So today is a WEBCAST episode number 37. And WEBCAST number 37, I want to deal with the English language. How there's a whole bunch of misspellings because I guess they've seen the French as something superior to English language, or they were just taken over, right, by the Battle of Hastings in England by the French Normans, which were really which were Normans, also called Vikings, right? So that happened in the Battle of Hastings in 1066 in England. Also, we want to talk about when the French came in, they were seen as more noble than the English, so they actually tried to rewrite the English language. And that's why you have all the weird spellings you have today. There's also a great number of use of Roman words or Latin words in English. And those words are actually misspelled and corrupted in an attempt to bring them into English, and it's just not working out. And that's why you find that a lot of Americans cannot speak another language because, or tongue, that English word for language is a French word. See, so the true English word is tongue. In Arabic is alisan, right? So anyway, that denotes the tongue, right? I'm gonna start using English words because a language or a tongue is more like it's like a musical scale. When you play it in a key, everything just seems to go together. You're talking the same tongue. They've messed up English so bad that it's not even really a language. It's like a hybrid slanguage. So if any Caucasoids out there talking about us being racist, just be like, hey, you couldn't even put together your own language. Now, Old English, which is English, is the best they got. You know what I mean? Now, we do speak English as our native language. Unfortunately, our language is taken from us. However, you can learn your tongue again. So there's no excuses for the Negro not to learn his language. That's a little ridiculous. So make sure this underlying music isn't playing over my voice, man. That's, if I didn't mention, this is the host, Mudhuta Herokayu of Rit Nalej Radio. And again, this is WEBCAST number 37. It's just me solo today. And the Gregorian, what is the Gregorian day? What's the Roman Caucasoid day? It is Monday, February 27th, 2023. And they missed about 20 years on their calendar from Rome. Caesar was out fighting wars, expanding the Roman Empire, and Congress was getting drunk and hanging out in brothels. And they got so drunk when Caesar was out for 10 years, he came back to the capital. These people were not keeping track of the time. So he had to try to go back and recalculate the time, and he was off by like 20 years. So the way that they calculate time is incorrect. Leap years is incorrect mathematics. Not evolutionary. It doesn't recycle upon itself. They have to add numbers and change. They messed up. The Caucasoid messed up. He doesn't know what time he's in. All right? As a Nuwabian, I know that's a fact. So, we want to talk about, let me look at my show notes here. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. I'm studying Arabic right now. I like studying languages, period. So English, this whole English thing fascinates me because when you go to court and you have to defend yourself in court, and the judge or the magistrate or whatever judicial official you're in front of starts using all these Roman Latin words, what are you supposed to do? If you didn't study Rome or Latin in high school, junior high, or in college, if they're going to use Latin words in the English court, then they should teach people Latin in schools. It should be mandatory that you learn English, real English, in Latin. And real English uses runes for the letters, not Roman letters to depict English words, right? There's actually a movement called English where people, it's kind of, I'll play a video clip for you guys. It's actually English without the French and Roman influence, which is true English, pure English. And I think if we spoke that, then our comprehension as far as the English language would go up insurmountably, because we would all be speaking the same tone, the same scale. Now, am I saying learn English and not learn your ancient tongue? No, I'm definitely not. Definitely not saying don't learn Nuwabic if you're a Nuwabian. If you're a Sabian, learn Sabian. If you're religious and you're studying Islam and you took your Shahadat and Al Salat, then you should be studying Arabic, at least to read the scripture. You can't read the scripture in English, right? You've never read it. Like Christians in America or in England or any other European country reading the Bible and they think that they're speaking the word of God. You're actually not speaking the word of God. Your language is not the language of the tongue of the gods. It is not even a spiritual language. A lot of those European languages, Caucasoid languages. So if they're happy with their translations of the devil, that's fine. But they can go ahead and keep reading that, all right? But it's not the language of the tongue of the God, of the gods. So again, back to the court system, using words, these Latin words like, now I'm drawing a blank. But I read a lot of court papers like, man, okay, I'm gonna have to edit this out. But you got de novo, de novo, looking at a case de novo. Right? People are gonna be like, well, what is de novo? We speak English over here. We're not Romans, right? So I guess a lot of these English Caucasoids wanted to be Romans. That's what they really wanted to be. They looked at Rome as something superior to England, right? That's why when England was the world power, they tried to do what Rome did. They actually did a pretty good job, because they're devils. So they did a pretty good job of killing, bombing. That's one thing the Caucasoid is real good at. He's real good at killing. Not really good at intellectual things. He has to steal that from Morenos and Asians. And he came up with some inventions, but you're going to find out the World Wide Web was started by Morenos. Fiber optic cabling started by Morenos, right? You're going to find out watercolors, paint, Morenos. You're going to find out we invented a lot of things. Right? Which is normal for me, but you talk to a lot of Negroes out there, this is not normal for Negroes. Negroes think the white man is God. So, and we're also going to talk about that briefly too. The word white is not what you think it means, especially in Old English, which is the only valid English. So, and I don't speak that. I speak the hybrid tongue. I don't even know what to call what I'm speaking. I have no idea. They didn't mess it up so bad. I have no idea what I'm speaking. But I guess it's masqueraded as English, but you'll find out it's not English. It's actually a hodgepodge of Roman, French, and English. The only thing that's English really is the grammar. And English comes from German, right? So it's actually a Germanic language, right? So give me a second here. All right, I had to sneeze. Now I'm back. So at the end of the day, this is what I want to break down. So when you go to court, they start using all these Roman words. I know that some of the Moors, some American Moors, I don't know, I'm really not into this, but they claim that we created the Roman language with no proof. They just say it, right? And I actually have proof that Rome, they did not speak Rome in Northern Africa, Romantic languages in Africa. But when Rome went in there to North Africa, the local people and the priests and the people in control started to speak Roman, right? So they spoke Roman in their native tongue, their first language that they learned, their natural language. So they actually did not create the Roman language, but they took part in it and actually became great speakers of the Roman language, even greater than some Romans. So just like now, you got Martin Luther King. He speaks English better than most Caucasoids, the way he used the tongue. And by the way, Martin Luther King was a communist and actually a homosexual, wrote all of his speeches. If you guys didn't know that. I love Martin Luther King. He woke up a little bit too late, but we love Dr. Martin Luther King, but the facts are the facts. And I study factology, not mythology. We'll leave mythology to the Greek Caucasoid. All right. So, in speaking about these things, it's very liberating because they've corrupted the English language so bad that now you have double speak, right? And take for instance the word two, right? The two is really one word with three senses of the same word, right? Depending on the context in which you use the word in. So if I say I'm going to the store, you think, oh, I'm going to the store. To is a preposition denoting like a duty, or I'm going there for a purpose. I'm going to the store, to pick up some lettuce or some basil or some turmeric, right? So you're going there for a reason. Or you can say I'm going toward the store. That just means I'm headed in the direction of the store. But some people will use to instead of toward, which would be incorrect English, right? They say, oh, Mudahuta, you're doing too much, man. You're doing too much. However, when you go to court, you better use the exact meaning of words. Because if you don't, you're in big trouble. And they know it. When you go into court, they already look at you like you're stupid. I tell people this all the time, especially my Moorish peoples, even if they call themselves Negro, Black, or colored. I tell them that they think you're retarded when you go in there. You try to go in there and you read a couple of case laws and they'll ignore what you're saying in that court. You know what I mean? Now, I'm not going to get into tactics that I use in the court. However, they are looking at you like you're stupid because the average person that goes in there is stupid. And they think the judge is God. They may say, oh, no, I don't think the judge is God. However, you see how they bow down in front of that judge? They do think the judge is God. Even if a killer goes in there and starts talking crap to the judge, well, he's talking crap to the judge because he knows the judge got all the power. And he has no power because he has no knowledge. So the only thing he could do is be belligerent, right? That's the only thing he can do because he knows he's going back to prison either to die or to serve a long sentence there. And the only person that could do that is that judge sitting on that bench. So even killers bow down to the judge. They just front. So we talked about court. We talked about using Roman words in an English court to purposely throw you off. I mean, that's what it's there for. It's there to throw you off. You know what I mean? So take that into consideration, man. Challenge the judge on the tongue that he's using. He's using a foreign tongue to try to condemn you. This is all part of, the whole Masonry and all these black Greek fraternities are an off branch of Freemasonry, right? So that, they want to be Greeks. You got Negroes confused. They want to be Greeks, But there were actually Morenos in that land before the Greek freaks came. Before they came, we were already there. We were called the Mannonians. And also we were the first people in Italy. We were called the Etruscans. So we occupied these lands first. However, we lost in some wars and we either stayed or we migrated out of there, right? So, excuse me. But that's a little information on that. Even the word information is, I think that's Roman, right? I'm going to try to spell out all the Roman words that I'm speaking, right? Even the word poet is French, and that may go back to Latin too, or Roman. So the true English word for poet is bard. Came to find out it's bard. Look it up in the dictionary or in your, well, thesaurus won't have it, I don't think, but The dictionary does. It's actually barred. Well, actually, the thesaurus does have it. That's how I found it in the dictionary. So the word is bard. So instead of saying poet, say bard. Because English words hit harder than French words. French words are more like stylistic and stuff like that. So it does say bard. And when you say poetry, you say bardry. You know, it keeps it on the same tone, and I promise your brain will pick it up quicker. You know what I'm saying? But we all need to learn Nuwabic. And I'm going to be starting that this summer. And a lot of Nuwabic words have changed. But that's not the subject of the show. I don't want to get away from the English tongue. So, inshallah, let's talk about the next thing I have here in my notes. So also, you're going to find out like the word pagan. You know, the master teacher always talks about the word pagan. This is an interesting example. Pagan is a Roman word. They tried to bring it into English, but it's actually a Roman word, and it's pagan in Roman. In English, they say pagan, right? So it's actually mispronounced, it's corrupted, and also they tried to change the definition of it from Roman to English, which is a corruption, right? So a corrupted person is doing these things, or people doing these things. Pagan just means country dweller. Someone who lives outside the city, someone who lives on a ranch or has a barn, you know what I mean, with acres of land, farmers. These are pagans. They try to, in English, they say, oh, pagan means that you believe in many gods. No, that's not what it means. And so this is the problem when you're a wannabe Roman. You're an English person, but you want to be a Roman person, right? So they've sold out their own culture to try to become Romans. Real Germanic people would never try to become Romans. And I know the English and German go at it because look at World War I and II. England and Germany always go at it. They're like close cousins. They're ascendants of one another. So they always go at it. If you look at past history, they've gone at it for centuries. So even though I'm not Germanic or from England, we do speak the English tongue. And so it's very important to weed through all the confusion and the crap and get down to the etymology of these words. And every Roman word can be replaced with an English word. Like I talked about, there's this project, and I'll try to leave some notes in my show here that talk about. It's called English. It's really just it's pure English for this day and time. You know, they've replaced some words. Like I was looking up a couple words for. I was reading Your Potential by Dr. York, and I seen in there that potential, right, is of course a Roman word. Well, I was like, what is the English word for this? And I found out it's wherewithal. Do you have the wherewithal? See, that's very easy for me to say wherewithal. I mean, potential, you know, it just has a different rhythm and tone to it. But if you said wherewithal, it's like saying where. We all say where, like where are you going? Where are you going, homie? You know what I'm saying? Where are you going, my friend? Or where, with. I mean, we say with every day probably. And then all. So it's wherewithal. Very easy. And if we replaced all of these Roman and French spelling words, you would understand English a lot better. We would comprehend it a lot better. But what they did, remember, the devil deals in the light. The light is the chaos. So they always deal in chaos. So they've corrupted their own language to try to fool the Moors. Right? So, you know, at the end of the day, I feel like this show is important. It's not going to be too long. And so we also want to talk about the French spelling. What do I mean by French spelling? Mulhuta, what are you talking about, man? The word is spelled exactly the way it sounds, right? No, it's actually not the way it's spelled, right? It actually has nothing to do with the way it's spelled, right? So we're going to blow the horn on that one, right? We're going to call out this French spelling in English, right? take for instance, bear. Like I can't bear to be around you, right? BARE. And they teach you in basic grammar school, or they call it elementary, and elementary is a Roman word, right? They teach you that B is B, A is A, R is R, and E is E. So really it should be Bade. But no, they say the E does something to the A. And they don't teach you this in school. They just tell you to memorize, but they don't give you the science behind what they're doing. You know what I mean? So it's kind of confusing, right? So you say, oh, it should be Bade. No, but it's actually bear. So the E makes the A into a bear, right? Which is incorrect. That's the way the French do it, right? And also, I remember in school, the word receive, which is a French word, is RECEIVE, right? Like to me, in Nuwabian, if I was reading, it would say re, and there's no C, so I guess I'll replace that with an S. So receive, or receive, because there's no V in Nuwabian. Receive. That's the way. Well, we don't speak the tongue like that, but I'm just putting it all together. But that's not. It's receive. It's 2 syllables. Well, how the hell did they get receive out of RECEIVE? Okay, again, it's the E on the end, right? The E. And then they say I before E, but after C. That is not English. That's a French rule, the way they spell their letters. That has nothing to do with English. So you can see where I'm going with this, where the mass confusion is kicking in, And then they want to tell Morenos or so-called black people, oh, you're spelling words wrong. If we spell it THA, we spelled the word wrong. And I would argue, no, that's the actual spelling of the word, not THE. THE, that's they. Like, as Nuwabians, Thejos. That's where they got the word the from, the Greek god, right? Thejos. When they translated it from the book of the old prophets. And we did that as a Tamaraean high priest around 300 BC when the Greeks took charge, of our homeland, of our ancestral homeland. Part of my family is from ancient Tamarae. I am blood related to Ursa Ma'at Rasa Tepenra Butala, which is, they call Ramesses III. And there's thousands of other descendants. I would actually like to get a group together, because they came over here and joined our tribes in America, in Turtle Island, because the ancient Tamaraeans, they traveled, you know what I mean? So he probably, somebody from Ramesses' tribe came over here and probably made love to one of our indigenous sisters over here, and then thousands of years later, I popped out. My parents popped out. My parents before them popped out, and before them popped out, and before them popped out. So do I do ancestral worship? Sure. In an aspect, another Latin word aspect. But yeah, of course I do. Of course I do. Also praise Allah, right? Also praise the Anunnaki, right? Who are the Malaika. So again, the mass confusion. The only reason I'm putting this video out because I've been studying this at least for the last year and came to the revelation, which is another Latin word, or I should say come to the revealing truth, revealing another Latin French word, that this was done obviously purposely to put it in courts, because even amongst the English Caucasoids that came over here, the ones in power wanted to stay in power. So the ones who are less educated, who aren't going to know these Roman terms, they did it on purpose, even to their own people. You know what I mean? And so these things must be discussed. They must be discussed. So I'm going to end the show there. We've been in it for about a half an hour, and somebody's calling me from 805 from Ventura County. I used to live out there, so I don't know who that is, but I'm going to ignore him again. So anyway, brothers and sisters, inshallah, learn English as it was supposed to be, so you can counteract these foreign word attacks, especially when you get into court, especially. And if you got to learn those Roman terms, phrases, learn them, and question the judge and the whole system about why are you using Roman? Don't you know the Romans hated the English? Hated the English, thought they were savages. No, this is before England even existed, so they hated the Germans, the Germanic people, and the Celtic people that occupy what they're calling England today. The Celtic people, the Celtic people. You know what I mean? So, and the Britons. There's another culture of Caucasians called the Britons, where they get the word Britain from, right? Britons, which is another civilization living, before it's actually called English, and actually before that culture was established. So, again, interesting history here that we're speaking about, and I will leave you now with the sounds of our master teacher, Malachi Zodok York, also known affectionately as Amanubi Rachta, right? Our first Afarut, or the English would say Pharaoh, and Pharaoh is actually a what? Pharaoh is actually a Greek word. We didn't call ourselves pharaohs. Nuwabic, we would say Afarut or Afaret. Afar. Afar, this means someone who's in charge of the nation, right? Afarut means the person in charge of the nation is a man, and Afaret would mean it's a woman. The woman, the creator, at least of human beings in her womb. I'm not saying she created the whole universe, but she created human beings in her womb. Oh, wait a minute. Do not let you guys go without defining the word white. And this is the spell. This is what they're doing. Words are pronounced the exact same way, but they're spelled differently. But they're the exact same word. Now you think about the color white, right? W-I. No, it's not W-I. It should be. It's W-H-I-T-E, right? Now I was reading, because I'm starting to read poetry now, right? And I read an old English poem, and it had the word white in it, but it was spelled W-I-G-H-T, right? And this is the confusion in the spelling, but the word means exactly the same thing, right? So check this out through my analysis, which is a Roman word, right? So through my analysis, I go to my dictionary on my phone, though. I got lazy, so I went to Webster's dictionary on my phone, and I typed in the word white. Guess what I found out? That word white actually means human being. Do you hear me, y'all? White, W-I-G-H-T, means human being. Inshallah, that we're finding this out. MashaAllah, he works through me, right? So when I found this out, I said, wait a minute. It sounds exactly like the word W-H-I-T-E. And I remember watching a video, a brother from the Moorish Science Temple called Jose Pimienta Bay. And they actually have a channel, and he talked about before we were called blacks, or they called us blacks. He's like, why did they call you black? Why did they because white wasn't, before the 1500s, they didn't use white. So why did they give themselves white and give us the word black? Now, they were pissed off that we kidnapped some of them. We would raid the English coast. That's why the treaty of peace and friendship was signed between the Sultan Muhammad of Morocco and Al-Maghrib and George Washington's stank caucasoid ass, because they were jacking the English, the Portuguese, the Spanish. We were jacking everybody, holding them for hostage, taking them back to the to Ghana and Morocco and selling them as slaves. And you want to say, oh, Mudhutha, no way, the white man is God. How can you enslave God? A lot of Southern Negroes, that's what they say. No way, the white man is God. But again, let's define white. All right, let's define white for all my colored slaves. All right, the word white, W-I-G-H-T, that's like the word light. It's actually misspelled. Right? There's no such thing as silent letters. They made that up. They just don't know how to spell their own words. But now there is some Caucasians waking up and saying, no, this is all incorrect. And I agree with them that this is the way English, well, it's not even English. I don't even know what to call it. It's a hybrid slanguage. A hybrid slanguage, slang tongue. So in this hybrid slang tongue, where they tried to come up with this confusion to confuse me and you. And you don't even have to be a Moor. I'm just speaking to my people, my race of people, of all the tribes on the planet. That's who I'm speaking to. Now, anybody who's Asian or Caucasian who does speak English as their first language, you should be interested in this too. Because you are also confused, right? But that's what they wanted to put you in. These Freemasons wanted to put you in confusion. And all these Negroes trying to be Freemasons, you will never be accepted as a Freemason. Let me tell you that. Even my grandfather was a Freemason. He would never be accepted. His soul would never be accepted at the gates of St. Peter to be a Freemason. So I'm actually communicating with my grandfather now and my father, right, through meditation. And if you're an imam, you'll understand what I'm talking about, okay? I need to get them to come back to the ancestral things that we did. However, let me speak about white. So white, W-I-G-H-T, which is the same as W-H-I-T-E, because it's pronounced, if the letters only exist to pronounce the word, that's the only reason the letters exist, right? Why do you have letters? So you know how to pronounce something. If you got all these silent letters and crap, how are people hundreds and thousands of years of now supposed to read what you wrote? They would mispronounce it all day because these idiots didn't know how to write words. But then calling Morenos inferior when we taught them everything that they know. So again, that doesn't make sense. But the devil doesn't want things to make sense. Look at America's rhetoric toward Russia and you'll understand what I mean. Inshallah. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Okay? So again, going back to Jose Pimienta Bay on the Amexum channel on YouTube, check it out. He says, why did they give themselves the term white and give you the term black? Right? If you look in the dictionary, which you will find the pure truth in the dictionary, which is more powerful than their magic. Because they have to have some truth in what they're saying. So they have to give you the original definition of the word. That's why etymology is so important, because they've corrupted it, right? They gave themselves the term white because white meant human being. And you have all the rights under your creator as a human being. That's where the term white came from. W-I-G-H-T. But then they corrupted it. Well, it's the same word. It's the same word as W-H-I-T-E. It's the same word, y'all. It is the same word. They just misspell it on purpose. So they didn't want me to find out what was going on. But when I read this old English poem, Allah wanted me to read that poem, y'all. He wants me to study poetry, English poetry, and I'm gonna be writing Nuwabic poetry, right? But first we got to finish the standardization of our language, and it's not Sabian. Sabian is something totally different from Nuwabic. listen to my Right Knowledge pledge, where I'm speaking Nuwabic. Sounds a lot different from Sabbatic, so don't get it confused. Right? But anyway, this is not about that. So anyway, and they gave us the term black or negro, which is just black in Spanish. Black means something bad. Look it up. They'll try to say, oh, it means a person from Africa. No, it don't. It don't mean, because a person from Africa would mean you're an African, right? They would call you an African. No need to call you black. Well, you could just call me an African. So they even corrupted their own word book, which is a dictionary, which is a Roman word. The true English word would be a phrase, and it would be called a word book, right? Because it's a book where you choose words, you find out what words mean, right? If you look at that word book and you look at the etymology, it actually goes back to Germanic language, and actually block. They called it block. And block meant something that was pale, something void of life, something negative. Oh, it's a black day. Oh, don't speak those black words. Oh, Boromir, those black days that we used to face back in the day. Now the days are lovely, right? So what the Negro is trying to do is hold on to this word black, which is funny, because it's all emotions. And emotions are good as long as the emotions are based off of facts, y'all. Your emotions are based off of facts. If you ain't got no facts and you just getting emotional because you just an emotional nigga, they got you exactly where they want you. Not using your brain. Not using your brain. So I'm going to leave it right there for all my Moorish peoples. This is Right Knowledge Radio. I hope you enjoyed the show. I hope I was able to enlighten you simply, not trying to use all this complex rhetoric like a Taj Tariq Bey or, people taking your money and getting you thrown in jail. I don't want you to go to jail. If you do go to jail, give me a call, 928-685-2764. And when we could talk and you could tell your story, all right? So again, this is Nuwabic date, year 82, the month of Nebthet, which is the 10th month out of 19. It is the second week, third day of Nunamnir. All right? Nunamnir was somebody who helped the Kushite peoples. He actually Nunamnir actually tried to kill all the human beings because he said man, in man's heart was continuous thoughts of evil, right? In English. I'm saying that in English. So anyway, we're going to end the show here. Hope everybody has a blessed day. Do the best that you can in this existence. Resist the devil at every turn and never give in. Wadu. Free Dr. York. The devil's got him trapped down in ADX Max in Colorado, Florence. Please show your support. The devils have locked the Nuwabians out from reaching the master teacher. Maybe I'll say names in the future, but free Dr. York. Free Mumia Abdul Jamal. Free all the Black Panther Party. All political prisoners, all of the Morenos should be set free. My beautiful Moorish peoples, this is not a joke. Stop the Greek Negroes and the Black Boule, who are the gatekeepers for the so-called leader of blacks, which they are not. That we did not elect them for these Greek organizations to rule blacks.